You're listening to another ambitious EntrepreneurNetwork.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, daily conversations with Christian entrepreneurs to inspire and empower Christian business owners to walk strongly in their faith, while build a thriving business that honors Him in every way. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
And welcome to another episode of the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast. This is episode 5. And yes, I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross, brand and communication strategist, also known as the podcasting queen. Now, joining me on today's show is Martin Farrugia. Having overcome depression, amongst many other life's challenges, Martin has found that an unwavering faith in God always gets him through. Answers come when you least expect, when you step out in faith. And Martin's business, Eagle Coaching, is about helping business owners and entrepreneurs tap into their own seeds of greatness within to overcome their own self-doubt, conquer their fears, and rise above the negative. Now, on today's show, Martin is going to share why a mindset based on faith within makes a difference, how to overcome challenges through the power of prayer and an unwavering belief in God, as well as why belief in yourself and remembering that you are here for a purpose is vital to breaking through any challenge, and so much more. So welcome to the show, Martin.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Pleasure to be speaking with you again.
I'd always like to start off a show with just giving you an opportunity and giving our guests an opportunity just to share a little bit about their journey into how they got into their business. So thinking back, were there various aspects of your career that led you down the path to deciding, you know what, I'm going to start a coaching business, Eagle Coaching, helping business owners and entrepreneurs tap into their seeds of greatness? What was the journey for you into entrepreneurship?
Look, my journey is a very interesting one. I guess really it actually started back when I was at school. I went to a Christian Brothers school and would be called upon to, I guess, go and fundraise by way of selling pens or raffle tickets, things of that nature. And I always found, even at such a young age, it was nice to interact with people. And when you were out there doing it for a purpose, and part of that purpose was actually raising money. As I said, it was a Christian Brothers, so part of it was raising money to go and help those less fortunate overseas. So I guess at a young, early age, I already started to learn the importance of giving. And sometimes, I think some people get caught up giving and looking to receive. Sometimes the greatest pleasure is to give, and you don't even know where the, I guess what we call the expectation of that law of attraction will kick in, and sometimes it comes in the most unexplained and least expected ways. And so since the age of 12, I started door knocking, asking people could I wash their cars. And what's interesting is at that young age, people might say no, but you don't take it personal. You know, they might just be saying no because maybe they've just washed their car, whatever the case might be. And so sometimes I'd say, well, look, if I can't wash your car, could I at least clean your windows? So interesting how at such a young age I was already asking those different questions, and people get caught up sometimes, oh, the person said no, when really it could be you're just not asking the right questions.
Yes.
And when you're stepping out in faith and doing that in a way of having that purpose and having that mindset that even if a person says no, the next door could be a yes. And so it's really vital that you stay true to your ideals, stay true to what you want to achieve, and always understand that, as I say, those seeds of greatness are within. And just on that, I had the good fortune over my journey to meet a very, very well-known man, Dr. Dennis Whaley, who unfortunately I believe is no longer with us. And that's where I heard the first thing about the seeds of greatness within. And too often we go through life, I guess sometimes accepting what other people tell us instead of saying, no, I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a greater purpose. And also, and that's what I love about this podcast, Anne-Marie, and thank you so much for inviting me, because I think for those of us that have a very strong Christian faith, and as we were talking just before we came on, that this is not about getting all caught up on, is it religious, etc. No, it's about saying, you know what, I do believe, I have a strong belief within myself, I have a strong belief in God, and that God is always there for you to get you through those challenges. What's sad is we leave him, he never leaves us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And from that, that's what moved me into doing coaching. You know, I was actually through a set of circumstances, you know, people have said, Martin, you know, you've got real life experience. You, in the way you coach, and you're a very nurturing coach. And I guess sometimes when people say that to you, it's really funny, but it's very hard to take that on board, because I'm just me. I just do what I love to do. And hey, if sharing an idea or a concept or a strategy with someone can help them move on to the next level, then that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great, Martin, that you had someone reflect, or someone that was very important or played a very important part in your life by talking around the seeds of greatness. Because how often do we interpret or just don't take into consideration the gifts that God has given us, you know, the gifts and talents, the innate talents, we take them for granted. Yet once we understand, hang on a minute, this is something that's quite unique, something quite special about me, and I can use it in service of others and to support one another, you know, each other. And of course, for many of us who are entrepreneurs, support others and create a business out of that. So, you know, you're helping everybody. But how often, and it's good that you said that, because we've had a number of women on the show, and now, of course, you're the first man, so yay to you for coming on board. And hearing that also reflected, because sometimes men can not really recognise their gifts and talents too, yes?
Yeah, and that's great that you hit on that, because probably the one person who was really pivotal, and a lot of people know that this gentleman certainly had a very, very strong Christian faith. Fantastic gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar. Unfortunately no longer with us, but his son is carrying on his amazing work. I had the good fortune of actually not only being in the presence of Zig at a conference, but I got to actually spend 10 minutes one-on-one time. Now, to a young 19, 20-year-old, that probably didn't mean a lot at the time. But what really resonated when I think back now, as I'm nearly turning 50, he asked me, Martin, what do you see yourself doing, you know, as you move on? I said, Zig, I see myself eventually doing what you do, being able to sit down, help people, inspire people, you know, but obviously I've got to go through my journey as well. He took my hand in his hands. He had these most amazing, piercing blue eyes, took his glasses down, looked straight at me and said, I believe both in my heart, in my faith, and in God that you will do that. Do not waver from that. You have a gift, you just don't know it yet. And that was really powerful, because this is a man that travels, or at the time, travelled the world. How I got to meet him was I was actually part of the crew that was helping at this seminar.
Yes.
And when we were cleaning up at the end, and the lady in charge, she had travelled around Australia anyway, she came back to the office in Sydney, and I was one of the last there cleaning up and what have you. And she said, oh, by the way, Mr. Ziegler wanted me to pass on a very personal message to you. And I looked, I said, to me? She said, yeah.
As you do.
And actually handed me a card. And he said, dear Martin, thank you so much for all your help. Please stay true to what you believe. God has a plan for you. You just don't know it yet. Stay on your path. The real impact, though, because I then said to the lady, Lynn, I said, you know, that was a really amazing 10 minutes I got to spend. And what was amazing, Lynn said, what was one question he asked you? I said, well, he asked me where I see myself heading, and I told him. And I thought, you know, at the time, being the kind of gentleman and a real gentleman, he was just being nice, etc. She said, Martin, let me tell you something. Throughout the whole tour, only 4 people got the chance to have one-on-one, you being one of them. You're the only one Zig really remembered from everybody as he sees you doing, I guess, what I'm now doing. So that was real powerful.
Isn't it incredible how someone can impact a life, and it also goes to show us how we can empower and speak truth and life into a young person's life. We never take for granted the words of kindness, encouragement, words of empowerment. I mean, as you know, you do that now in your work. But when we plant the seeds, we water the seeds by their words. The seeds already been planted in us, of course, that before birth, that someone's watered the seeds by coming along and sharing those incredible words that you still talk about today, you know, how many years on. And thank goodness that he does, because I'm sure, have impacted many people through the work that you have done as well. Challenges and issues, we're faced with this every single day. And
Yep.
you said yourself in the introduction, we mentioned you've overcome depression and you've had life's challenges too. But what you also say is that through the power of prayer and an unwavering belief in God, that has really strengthened you and seen you through overcoming those challenges. Share a bit more about that, because I'm sure people listening and watching the recording are probably maybe going through their own struggles too. Let's impart some support and wisdom into their lives in this particular area too.
Now, with pleasure, Anne-Marie. And look, I'm happy to share with people that what I'm about to share took a long time for me to really become comfortable with. And I was actually sharing this one day with a close friend of mine. And sometimes you just never know. All of us are very good at putting on the happy face. But sometimes you just never really know what's going on within. And I was having a chat to this close friend of mine and found out he was going through a pretty tough time. And I just started sharing with him how, unfortunately, my real mother died when I was 2. So I had an unbelievable stepmother who to me was my mother. Unfortunately, she committed suicide. And when she committed suicide, it was at a real pivotal point of where her and I were really starting to what I call get on. I believe that you go from being a parent to a child, and then as your child becomes an adult, it's a different relationship again, because now you can talk more adult and more one-on-one. And we had really come to that relationship. And then, unfortunately, she took her life, which sent me on a bit of a downward spiral. Through a set of circumstances, found out later that, unfortunately, she had actually been suffering manic depression for many, many years.
Yeah.
And when, to this day, I still don't know how they do it, because then she committed suicide down at Freshwater Beach. They had to have an autopsy, and the coroner's report was just amazing reading on how they can find out, you know, the body really does tell stories. You know, for those of you that may watch the show NCIS, you know, and you see the man there talking to the body, I'll tell you what, you know, it is amazing what the body does tell them. And so from that, it was really, a friend of mine said, well, now, Martin, it's time for you to find out how good you really are. And I didn't know whether he was saying that as a compliment or a bit of a backhand. And I found out later it was a compliment. And what he meant was, you're always the first to be so supportive of anybody else and try to help them with a kind word or whatever the case might be, or, you know, if they're wanting to move, or, you know, just however you can help. But now it's time for you to help yourself. And what he meant by that was that, you know, you hear the saying, do you see the glass half full, half empty? My thing is, I always see it refillable, because, see, even though a glass might be half full, it's not good if the water is still muddy. You've got to tip it out, refill it.
Yeah.
And so it was really a case of seeing a counsellor, getting some professional help. And the lady said, well, I'll never forget the first session. She said, how do you feel? And I said, well, how open can I be? And she said, as open as you want. Now, I'm not one of your typical males that prescribes to, oh, you've got to be tough and you can't show emotions. No, I'm the kind of guy, I go and see The Lion King, and after the opening sequence, I'm in tears wondering how am I going to get through the rest of the film. And so I went through all the emotions. I'm upset, I'm angry, I feel ripped off, and so on. At the end of about 45 minutes, the counsellor turned around and said, I don't think we're going to need all 6 sessions for you, because you just went through in 40 minutes what usually takes 3 sessions for me to even start to scratch. I said, oh, okay. And what I put that down to is I stepped out in faith again, had prayer, committed to our Lord, and said, you know, how do I move on? How do I now get out of the darkness where I've been,
Mm-hmm.
how do I actually turn that around and take a lesson from it? And I learned long ago that no matter what the adversity, there is always, and there's that word again, seed of a greater opportunity.
Mm.
And the opportunity was I could either stay bitter or reflect on what a great life we had had up until, unfortunately, mum took her life.
Mm.
And when I shared that with this friend of mine, he looked at me and he just said, wow, that's powerful. You don't realise what you've just done for me. And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, I've been looking at this all wrong. There's many lessons I can take from what's happened, and now use those lessons to move forward. And I think sometimes we can get so caught up in the, unfortunately, I was only talking to someone the other day, we have news literally on tap now, it wasn't really that long ago, something happened halfway around the world, we'll hear about it for a day or two.
Yes.
Now something happens, we've virtually almost got it live, instantaneous. I mean, let's not go far when that great tragedy of 9/11 happened. There it was within 5 minutes on the worldwide news. But we all saw the next building coming down. And I guess, in a sense, that's probably desensitized a lot of people too, I think, is that we have everything so on tap that I think we've almost lost about tapping into our emotions, being heart-centered and just being people.
Yeah, it's true. And I think as Christians particularly, and for everybody, but for Christians particularly, it's very important that we are mindful what we allow into our space, what we allow to be absorbed. And, as Christians who have a God who loves us and who created the universe and knows what the future holds for us, we're reminded in the Bible again and again that we do not have to worry and really obsess and become anxious about that, because, and that's often harder said than done, isn't it?
Yep.
And so it's such a great reminder to share that in prayer. Martin, if you would speak a little bit about what you said around, the feedback that you got from the counsellor saying, wow, all right, as a man, I would have expected maybe, session 3, and then you opened up. Is that something that you found you've always been able to do? And the reason why I ask that is, maybe over time you've also learned some key steps, or maybe even some mindset shifts and beliefs, because I know for many men it is quite difficult to open up. And I'd love to get a male perspective just for men, and obviously women and wives who are listening to this may be able to support their husbands if they see that they are being troubled and being challenged, that maybe we can speak some life and truth into supporting them and opening up a little bit and being able to share what's going on.
Anne-Marie, yes, no, you're right. And look, I'm probably going to touch on an area that, unfortunately, it is very much an epidemic at the moment. That's this whole domestic violence. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of that is because, and so please understand what I'm about to say with a lot of love, we've gone from one extreme to the other of where, I love nothing better, and that's why I love doing this, I love nothing better than seeing empowered women. But also, it's almost gone the other way of where a man feels, he can't be empowered himself anymore. When it's like, no, we can all be empowered. We can all be great. And it's like, guys, it's time to get in touch with your emotions. Maybe you might have better relationships by being that bit more open. Hey, nothing wrong with shedding a tear or two. Sometimes what happens is people bottle up everything inside so much that eventually you become like a volcano, and then when you erupt.
Yeah.
And when that happens, unfortunately, that's when you can say things, maybe do some actions, etc., that you can never take back. And that could be very detrimental and destructive. What I would say is, if you're feeling like that, go to a quiet place and let it out. Sometimes there'll be days when I just go down to the beach, so make sure there was no one around, and I'll just literally yell out to the ocean.
Yeah.
Sometimes you yell out, God, where are you? What have you done? Why am I in this situation?
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to be careful when the answer comes back.
Yeah, that's right. If you're going to ask the question, be ready for the answer. Correct. And I like that. And it's so important. If we bottle it up and suppress our feelings, it's like disregarding and saying that your emotions are not important and one way or another, they will continue to fester and build and build and build. So it's so important to talk to someone. Now, it may not necessarily be your spouse or someone close to you, but it has to be spoken. And of course, bring it out to prayer. I mean, God, welcomes everything, the praise, that share your problems with me. And that is just so important. And there's a reason why we cannot carry that all around, because it will show up in either in anger, and anger is an emotion, but how we deal with it. And if we're explosive, well, then that's not healthy, is it? And, for some people, writing it out, for others, going to the beach, yelling, and then not turning around and realizing there's a whole family behind you. That's not a good idea.
Yep.
But, absolutely, underwater, scream it out. And it's so important for sure. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important, particularly because there's so many people bottling these thoughts and feelings up. Not healthy at all. Talk a little bit around why belief in yourself, and remembering that we are here for a purpose, and that is vital to breaking through any challenge.
I think sometimes what happens is people get caught up in obviously the everyday running of life to life. And with that, it also becomes a challenge then of where you're on that treadmill, or the rat race, if you like, and you forget about you. You forget about what I call me, Inc. And really, each and every one of us has unique gifts and unique talents to share, to help other people. Now, I know some people say, oh, but I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm here for. You're here because you're alive. You're here because obviously God has a plan for you. Maybe you just haven't been open to it yet. Maybe you haven't discovered it. And that's where I strongly suggest just take some time out. Go to a quiet place. Go to where you feel at peace. Now, whether that's in a park, at the beach, or just in a quiet room at home. Very important. And here's the thing. It's not about taking hours and hours. You can literally discover within yourself in as little as 5 or 10 minutes about what really drives you, what fires you up, what gets you going, and most importantly, why. It's when you find out the why, that's really when life takes a change. But every person, I believe, has a purpose.
Yes.
And that purpose could be the best mother, be the best father, be the best teacher. It doesn't have to be some grandiose plan. Just being the best that you can be, the best that you, every night when you go to bed, you go, yep, I gave the best I could today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. I mean, I recall as you're sharing that, my mother used to say, and she was a kindergarten teacher, but she was very much a housewife too. She's still not, she's 98 and still alive.
Wow.
Which is amazing. We've really been blessed. Her brother, who is in Holland, lives on his own and he's 102.
Oh,
strong genes, strong genes. But I recall her often saying, I don't really know. And she was a fine Christian woman, really upheld her faith, steadfast in the Lord. But she would sometimes say, yeah, I don't know if I really have any other gifts. The only thing that I can do is talk and listen. But you know what? Listening, and I mean really listening and being there for someone and going and saying a kind word, showing kindness and friendliness in that way through speaking and communicating and allowing the other person to be able to talk is an incredible gift, particularly now that we're living in such a fast-paced world. I mean, how often do we sit around the table and break bread with one another and really talk and listen? Often not that much. And I think even, as you said, even what we misinterpreted being, well, it's only this, that could be someone's gift to someone else by sitting down and listening and talking, or going and dropping off or picking up the shopping, whatever it might be. There are always acts of service that we can support. So as you say, don't disregard any strength. And there's a lot of different tools that you can use. I know that there's some online quizzes that you can take to identify spiritual gifts, and lots of great resources that can just help you gain that little more self-awareness, I should say. But as you say, life leaves clues. God leaves clues. There are things in your life that if you turn around and look backwards and join the dots, you can often see that there are little areas that you've blessed someone else through, whatever it might be. And that could really be a telling sign that, hang on a minute, this is something that you've been called to do. Yeah. What sort of things, I mean, obviously you had someone speaking to your life by saying to you, well, this is an area that you're going to really be blessed in. Were there other things that you did throughout your career that just helped you strengthen the skills and strengths that you are now using? Are there some things that come to mind?
Oh, look, I would get myself into many situations, and it's funny. I mean, sometimes your biggest critics can be your own family. And so
love them, don't we?
Oh, yeah. So there'll be sometimes when I might go and take a job on where I knew I might not make a lot of monetary gain, shall we say, but what gain are you gathering in experience? What learning lessons? And sometimes just to be around various people. As I said, I'll be upfront, I could never have afforded at that time the ticket to go and see Zig Ziglar. But I found a way to get onto the crew where sometimes in life you will trade what we call sweat equity. You can't put a price on that. When you trade sweat equity and you're open to what can come back, I'll tell you now, you will get back more than what money could ever pay, because in those lessons, it's in that learning, it's in the listening. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. People, please understand, 2 ears, 1 mouth, not the other way. Use it in that proportion. And that's where the greatest payoff comes. And I've been very fortunate, throughout life. I got to, as I said, Zig Ziglar, Og Mandino, Jim Rohn, gentleman Doug Maloof, who then invited me to contribute to 2 international best-selling books to do selling based on my experience of cold calling and over the phone and face-to-face prospecting. And all of these opportunities came about because I was prepared to make contact, prepared to put the work in, put the effort in. So the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. So if you're prepared to put the work in and understand that, unfortunately, I think we've become a society of instant gratification. Well, guess what? I'm here today to tell you that prolonged gratification is a lot better. Instant, that's why it's called instant. Once it's gone, whereas, as you can tell, I'm still so passionate about having met these people who are all very pivotal in helping shape me and my career. And what's exciting is that now I almost feel, I've got their legacy to carry on because of what they've imparted on me.
Yeah. Such a great reminder. And I think, we only need to turn to the Bible to be reminded that it's not in our timing. I mean, we would like to have everything yesterday, but it's in God's timing too. And I'm sure if you looked back over your career, there were times where he was developing through other people, through courses, through involvements, developing skills and strengths that you now can use and impart to your clients. And had you tried to launch something or do something sooner than you were able to develop those skills to a certain level, I'm sure you wouldn't have been able to impact and support the clients that you're now doing through giving it that patience. So I think patience, and as you say, continuing to do the best work that you possibly can, and it will continue, bring it to prayer, seek ye first the kingdom, and then obviously everything else will fall into place. Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. I'd love for you to share with people, how can they get in contact with you? How can they find out more about Eagle Coaching?
Thank you, Anne-Marie, and as always, it's a pleasure with yourself. Look, firstly, my website, eaglecoaching.com.au. Also, feel free to drop me a line at inquiries, ENQUIRIES, at eaglecoaching.com.au. If you hop onto the website, you'll see that there's a form there. Just drop your name and email address, and I'd love to be in touch. I even send you my top 10 telephone tips as a gift to you for being listening to this podcast. And drop me a line. It'd be great to see how we can serve and delight each other.
Yeah, fantastic. And of course, we'll put all of your details, Martin, on our show notes, ambitiousentrepreneurnetwork.com/TCE05, ambitiousentrepreneurnetwork.com/TCE05. What I think is another benefit to this incredible podcast where people such as yourself, Martin, get to share their faith journey, their business tips, because they're so important for businesses, you know, the expertise that you offer. Isn't it amazing that through this podcast, we're going to be able to build a community of like-minded service professionals and product professionals and delivery, of people that we know have a faith in our God, and just being able to do business and share and everything, I think is going to be incredible. So certainly go and get those details, because I know Martin from a number of business groups. We've known each other for years, haven't we, Martin? And you're a humble and integral guy, and I know that you know, do exceptional business, and you get a lot of great feedback from your clients. So it's been an honour to be able to showcase you and your story on the show.
There's just one great line I'd like to finish with. And I remember this was from Zig Ziglar.
Mm-hmm.
To everybody, he said, just always remember one thing: God don't make no junk.
Yes, absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. Amen, for sure. Now, by the way, for those of you who are listening today and you're thinking that maybe a podcast is a really great way to build your business, but you don't know where to start, I've created a free training for you. I've put in there my workflow, my checklist, as well as no-cost, low-cost tools to get access to that AnneMarieCross.com/mini training, AnneMarieCross.com/mini training. Grab that. Lots of resources in there for you. Martin, before we go, can I say a quick word of prayer for you?
Thank you. Let's pray together.
Absolutely. Dear Father, we thank you that we could spend some time and speaking to Martin today, and that he was able to share his journey. And we pray that someone who's listening today that maybe is struggling through what Martin has gone through in his life, that through what Martin shared, that they will be empowered, inspired to turn that over to you, God, because you are a good, good God. We know that when we bring anything to your throne and ask for support and help, and obviously forgiveness, and when we bring that to your throne, that you're able to really work in our lives and help us overcome those challenges. We really want to pray and uplift Martin and his business and his family to you. We pray that 2018 is an incredibly fantastic year for them, and the great work that he's doing, and to support other people, particularly men. I really hope and pray that there'll be men and women who will share this podcast with their husbands and other male friends and family members, that they too can hear the advice, the insights that Martin shared to support them in not carrying their feelings around, but rather finding someone that they can trust and that they can share what they're going through. And of course, that they bring that to prayer. We ask this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Martin, a delight. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and look forward to connecting with you again in an upcoming business marketplace meeting. We'll see you later.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Maybe we'll see you Wednesday.
Yes.
Look forward to it. Thank you. Take care.
Entrepreneurs Podcast, brought to you by BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. Changing the world one message at a time. Do you feel called to influence real change with your message? Join our supportive community of like-minded influencers, thought leaders, and disruptors at www.BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. That's BeTheDifferenceMovement.com.